Okay, looks like we're good to start. Hunter?
Yeah, so we are the remote Creel data entry team. This is our senior design project from this year. My name is Hunter Dorhout.
And I'm Aaron Byington. Okay. Oh, there we go.
So a little bit of an overview on our company that we worked with this year. So we actually had three different kind of organizations that were all had a finger in the pie. So the UNL School of Natural Resources, Fish and Wildlife, the Nebraska Game and Parks Commission, and the Nebraska Cooperative Fish and Wildlife Research Unit. And they all collaborate on existing, prior to our project, on a study known as a Creel study, which is kind of a comprehensive research effort to look at the fisheries, lakes and rivers in Nebraska and the anglers that use them, and sort of habits and data trends that can come out of that, and create actionable things that they can use to create legislation and use the resources. So the problem that we had was that each year clerks who are members of the Creel study are sent out to collect data on angler behavior. And in the past or prior to our project, clerks had no means of entering this data remotely.
Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the team members that we had. So first off, we have our stakeholders who were also our team sponsors. And one of those was Dr. Kevin Pope, and he was essentially our product owner. He knows a lot about the study and different ways in which the clerks would be interacting with our app, as well as just a lot of details and requirements for the app. So he was a lot of help in that area. And then we also had Keith Hurley, and he was our main technical contact, and he actually made the database where all the information was stored. So he was a very valuable resource and was very helpful. As for the staff that was on our team, we had Dr. Brady Garvin as our tribe lead and Bill Browning, who was our project manager, and they both gave us a lot of very useful feedback throughout both semesters. And then finally, as for the students, there's me, Aaron Byington. I was a squad lead and product manager. And then Hunter Dorhout, who of course is presenting with me, and he was our development manager. And then we had our three developers, who is Sam Curley, Josh Wendland, and Daniel Ritterbush.
So to dive in a little bit deeper to the problem and then the opportunity that we had to solve that. So previously, clerks who were gathering data as part of this Creel study had to record that data on paper. So they brought a stack of paper data sheets out with them into the field, filled them out as they performed counts and interviews with anglers throughout the day, and then brought them back to the office and performed double data entry through a Microsoft Access front end, typically in the office. So a little bit of jargon there, but double data entry, they essentially entered each form twice, and those entries were checked against each other to try to catch errors in data entry. And then Microsoft Access is a bit of an older product that allows one to write sort of a graphical front end to enter data into a database. So the opportunity that we had to make advancements was to create an application that provides the opportunity for clerks to record data in the field. So while they're surveying any body of water, talking to anglers, we have the ability to, with the proliferation of personal technology, iPads, phones, everybody has one of those. And we wanted to create an application to leverage that ability and be able to gather data at the source and kind of cut out the middleman. So the solution built, we decided to go after some research into the possible avenues with something known as a PWA, or Progressive Web Application, which essentially, as you can see on the right, looks and feels like a native web application, but a native mobile application rather, but under the hood really functions just like a regular website. So you can see there's an icon on the home screen. You have the ability to have locally cached data, as well as one of the cornerstones of our application was online, or rather offline functionality, as a lot of the places that our users were going to be using this application doesn't have network connection. There's also a lot of other advantages from a technical perspective, that being the ease of development and deployment, as well as they are platform agnostic. So we really wanted this to be able to be used on any device, whether that be a smartphone, a tablet, Android, Apple, really any of the options, and kind of the progressive web application route offered those to us.
Okay, so now getting a little bit into what the actual app looks like. So hold on one second here. Okay, so first of all, this is essentially a page where you can navigate through all the different sections that an interview can have. So for example, if you went and clicked on the location button, you would go to the location page, and then you can fill out GPS coordinates of where the interview is taking place. So some notes to get out of this screenshot. We tried to make there to be a lot of contrast on all of our pages, because obviously a lot of times when you're out on a lake or a river, it's going to be sunny. And as a result, it's hard to read things on a screen. So we wanted to make sure that you could read the screen easily, regardless of what the elements are, whatever the weather is. And then in addition, we tried to make it friendly to all users. So a good example is colorblind. We try to make our greens a little bit more blue and our reds a little bit more orange. So yeah. Now, as for an example of a page where you actually enter data, this is the release info page, where obviously a lot of times when someone's fishing, they'll release fish rather than harvest them. And so, for example, on this page, this fisherman, let's say, caught 5 gar, and we just list out the gar here and enter in the information that they told us that they had released.
So this page kind of shows off, again, what I touched on a little bit earlier. One of the integral functionalities is the fact that this app needed to be able to work seamlessly with either no internet connection or sporadic internet connection. So this page here has a couple of tabs for interviews and counts, which are the 2 primary data types that we allow the collection of. And this shows off essentially the model that we elected to go with is that a user can go out and they have their device and they collect interviews and counts throughout the day. Those pieces of data populate on this kind of device data center. And this was done for a couple of reasons. So first, in order to kind of cater to a little bit what might be a little bit less technical users, a lot of our users are retirees who are part of this app in retirement, like to be outside, but maybe aren't the most technically savvy. So we had talked about potentially doing the sync to the database as sort of an offline background process. So keep interviews until we get an internet connection. But we thought that might be a little bit confusing, especially for, older users or non-tech savvy users. So we wanted to make it really explicit, like, hey, you've entered this data, but it still needs to go to the database. So that's what we're doing here, as well as allow for the editing capabilities if they know that they've made a mistake to be able to go back and rectify that.
All right, so some value and highlights of the app is kind of an overview of what all the sponsors get out of this, as well as what we learned. It introduces major quality of life improvements to the CREOLs who go out or the clerks who go out and complete these studies. Instead of having to enter it on paper and then twice the database, they just get to do it once right on the tablet or an iPhone, or et cetera. Other than that, it's also very important the fact that we can have it work both offline and online, because a lot of times in lakes or rivers, you won't have any service. And then finally, since it's a PWA, as we talked about, it works on all sorts of devices, including a smartphone or a tablet or even a laptop. And then finally, what we gained out of this is we learned a lot about React for our front end, which was very valuable experience. It's kind of an up and coming technology. And we learned a lot about C# backends. So I'd like to take a moment to thank our sponsors. They were at every single meeting. They did a great job supporting us, and there's no way we could have done nearly as well as we did on this project without them. So yeah, that's it for this presentation. Thank you so much for attending.
All right, thank you to our presenters. If we could give a virtual round of applause, either through the clap emote or through the chat, that would be awesome.
And we have, if you do have more questions, we have the virtual table, which I think is on the UNL Senior Design website. So if you have deeper questions, we'll be hopping over there. Feel free to take those over there.